Hey guys, I hope that you're having an awesome week. Don't worry, we're not turning into a gaming channel. Laura is just really into a Tetris game that she's actually playing right now. We're playing Tetris 99 on the Switch. Anyway, welcome to another week. We hope that you had a wonderful week. It's a Sunday at 8 a.m. here in New Zealand, and we're going to be spending an hour answering all your questions about traveling in New Zealand because we kind of are the experts of traveling in New Zealand, aren't we, Laura?
We are. This is Robin and I'm Laura, and we're the team behind NZPocketGuide.com, which is New Zealand's largest travel guide, and literally that's because it has thousands and thousands of articles to help you plan your trip around New Zealand, whether you're just doing a 2-week camper van road trip or you're here on a full year doing a working holiday visa. NZPocketGuide.com covers all that good stuff, so it's probably one of the best places to go and plan your trip to New Zealand. But if you're not really into reading, we also do this handy live Q&A session on YouTube every single Sunday at 8 a.m. New Zealand time. So you guys can come straight onto the live chat and ask your New Zealand travel questions directly to us. But if you do miss the live session, we pool the questions that we receive. So we can also go through those during this live session as well. So if you do have any questions, if you missed the live session, make sure to put your questions in the comments of any of our YouTube videos, and we will make sure to answer those questions as well. Just so you know, for times around the world, so like I say, we do this live Q&A session every single Sunday, 8 a.m. time. But around the world, that is on a Saturday evening in France and the UK around 9 or 10 p.m. In the US, that's on a Saturday afternoon at, I always have to remind myself this one, 4 p.m. EST or 1 p.m. PST. In India, it is bright and early on a Sunday morning around 1:30 a.m. And in Australia, that is also pretty early on a Sunday morning at 6 a.m.
Nice. So what was I about to say? Yeah, what's your what place did you finish on Tetris 99?
I think it was like 26 or something
that's
like
not
that.
so good.
That's not good, is it?
Oh well. All right, guys. So any question that you have, put them in the live chat. As you know, we read every comment in the live chat in order to just give you all the answers you want. We already have Anthony Comstock who joined us from California, USA. He says Morena. If you guys don't know, Morena means kind of good morning in Maori, which is the local indigenous language. And while you guys are getting warmed up and preparing your questions, we are going to go through a question that we received during the week. And this question is from Catherine Hegarty.
Yes, okay.
What is Catherine asking?
So Catherine asked, hello from New Jersey. Thinking of doing a trip to the New Zealand North Island, 10 to 12 days, wondering about doing an independent drive around the island. I'm inquiring about the Golden Shears competition and festival in Masterton and wanted to visit Napier to see the vintage cars. Not really interested in visiting the wineries there. Was hoping to visit the Waiheke Island when staying in Auckland and experience what the winery has to offer, etc. Also wanted to visit the Rotorua Redwood Tree Walk and Hobbiton and the Tongariro Crossing, and I assume I would need to book a hotel for 2 days. Any advice how I should plan my trip? Greatly appreciated. Love your website, very informative. Thank you, Robin and Laura, in advance.
I love how much details we got on this question. That's really good. But that's called for an itinerary, which calls for a map. Here you go, Laura.
It does. It's been a long time since we trust the itinerary map.
I know. In the meantime, good morning, Kiwi Laura, and we'll go through your question as soon as we finish with this one. All right, so for your itinerary, Catherine, we thought, so obviously you're going to be starting in Auckland. That's where almost everybody starts and lands. Then we're going to drive to Rotorua, then to Napier, then to Masterton. Then you're just going to pop into Wellington. Then you're going to make your way up to National Park. Then New Plymouth. Then Waitomo, and then all the way back up to Auckland. So the reason why we put all those spots on the map for you is just to show you a little bit where you're going to be going and what you're going to be doing, but as well as show you that none of the drive that we planned for you for this 10 to 12 day itinerary is going to be too long. The longest drive that you're going to have, I think, is going to be the
between Wellington and National Park.
Wellington to Tongariro park, and that's going to be about a little over 3 hours, like 3 hours and a quarter or something like that. Everything else is going to be in a range of 2 to 2.5 hours at most, so you're not going to drive too much. And also, you notice that there's only 8 points on the map, knowing that you have 10 to 12 days in New Zealand. That allows you to have between 4 different destinations in which you can spend 2 days in, which allow you to explore them a little bit more. Maybe in Auckland, so you can spend a whole day going to Waiheke. Maybe in Napier, since you really look, you look like you're really keen on exploring Napier and all the Art Deco. Maybe in Masterton, if you are timing yourself well for the Golden Shears Festival over there, you may want to get an extra day there. And probably one also in National Park, because this is where you're going to be. That's going to be your base camp to do the Tongariro National Park, and that's a whole
Tongariro
day.
Crossing.
Crossing, sorry. So that's going to be a whole day for you to do the whole hike. So I wouldn't recommend driving that much, and also doing the whole hike. It's just going to be too big of a day.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to get started and give you a little bit of information on all those places. And the first thing that's going to happen to you is that you're going to be landing in Auckland. So when you land in Auckland, what I would recommend is to get 1 extra day and to do an activity. So we recommend quite a few things in Auckland. You can do very simple, go up to the Sky Tower. You can go to an island called Rangitoto Island, which is an extinct volcano, and you can do a hike there. It's just a short ferry away. There is a beautiful island with ton of birds called Tiritiri Matangi, but it looks like you're into wines. So what about you hop on the ferry on day 1 in New Zealand, straight away go for the wine, and you go to Waiheke Island. There is some wine tours there, and I think that's going to be the best way for you to kind of make the most out of your time on Waiheke Island. You hop on the tour, and they will take you to between 3 and 4 different wineries. You're going to get tasters there, and you're also going to stop for a meal and everything. So it's going to be quite nice. There is a company called Ananda, if I'm correct, that we experienced. They also stop at some olive oil places, which is quite cool. Like, it's just give you a bit of variety, not just doing wine. Waiheke Island is really beautiful. You'll have some nice view of the whole Hauraki Gulf, which is basically where it's a big gulf with a lot of little islands. And the ferry to go to Waiheke Island is extremely regular, and it goes well into the night, so you'll be able to come back quite late if you want to. But honestly, since it's going to be your first day in Auckland, I think it's just to kind of manage the jet lag and do something which is a little bit more mellow. Like, I wouldn't recommend a big hike or something like that straight away. And then you're going to drive your way on the next day all the way to Rotorua. We recommend you stop in Hobbiton on the way, since it's on your list.
Yeah. So Hobbiton, yep, you can definitely get there on the way to Rotorua. And the great thing about the Hobbiton tour is that it's only about a couple of hours long. So it's a good way to just break up the drive, but also give you enough time to do your road trip as well. Obviously we probably don't need to explain too much about what Hobbiton is about. Most people that want to go to Hobbiton kind of know what they're going for, to get to see the really cool movie set from the Lord of the Rings. So that is near a town called Matamata. Once you get to Rotorua, if you have time, there's a lot of evening Maori shows, for instance, where you can go and experience some of the cultural performances, learn a little bit about the Maori culture at places like, for instance, Tamaki Maori Village or Mitai Maori Village. So that would be a great way to sort of end the day traveling between Auckland, stopping at Hobbiton, and then ending in Rotorua and getting to experience the Maori culture.
Indeed, it would be. Here, I'm going to put it here. It looks nicer here on the camera. All right, so then I'm going to get you to drive from Rotorua all the way to Napier. So that is probably the second longest drive you're going to be doing. It's about 2.5 hours. Start at 8 a.m. and then you are sorted at 10:30. You're ready to explore Napier. Napier is a really awesome town. It's a very unique feeling town. Out of all the towns in New Zealand, I think it's probably one of the most unique. It's very Art Deco, so it has all those arc kind of architectures and everything. It's awesome just to walk around.
Yeah.
So as you mentioned on your question, there is a lot of wineries around, and there is some really phenomenal wineries all around the Napier area. But you mentioned you were not interested in checking out the wines in Napier. You want to check out the old car and just kind of like the Art Deco things and vibe in Napier. So to do that, there is a walking tour that you can go with the Art Deco Center. Is that correct?
Art Deco Trust.
Art Deco Trust. Here you go. I knew that was
Yeah.
Art Deco. Something.
Alternatively, there is an Art Deco tour that's actually in a vintage car. So
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I'm
That's
not
true.
quite sure what the name of that company is, but yeah, there are options to do sort of even winery tours in vintage cars and that sort of thing. So if you want to incorporate a little bit more of the vintage car sort of thing, that's probably the best way to do it. Because although Napier, there's a lot of photos of Napier with vintage cars and stuff. The vintage cars are usually more on display during the Art Deco weekend, which is a type of like festival in Napier, and that's when it's the best time to see like a variety of vintage cars. Compared to some of the museums and stuff around New Zealand, there's quite a few museums that are dedicated to vintage cars. So the best way in Napier to experience vintage cars is probably to go on one of those sort of vintage car Art Deco tours.
All right, and then we're going to drive all the way from Napier to Masterton. There's going to be a loop like that. I'm going to be specific. Okay. And you're going to go to Masterton for the Golden Shear Festival. So the Golden Shear Festival, you have to be there on time, right? It's not a festival that lasts for too long, so you've got to be aware of that. So plan your trip. I will plan my entire trip around that festival if you go there just for that. But another great thing about Masterton, I'm not going to expand too much because you already know what you're doing in Masterton. And if you guys don't know, the Golden Shear Festival is a festival related to sheep shearing and sheep herding and all these kind of things. And Masterton is really famous for that. In fact, there is a massive statue of a sheep shearer in Masterton to celebrate.
There are some giant golden shears, actually.
Yes, as well, so there is, Masterton is I don't know if it's officially, but it's the sheep shearing capital of New Zealand.
Yeah, Tech Witty might have something to say about that.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
But the good thing about Masterton, since you sorted over there, is that you are quite close to Wellington. So you got a couple of options. If you feel like you haven't driven enough and you want to make the most out of your car rental, you can drive your way to Wellington if you want to, but you can also hop in a train. So like that, you can just get yourself down to Wellington. And it's just a commuting train, so that's not going to cost you too much. And you can make your way to Wellington, where I definitely think you should spend a day.
Yeah, so in Wellington City, some of the highlights are the Te Papa Museum, which is a free museum, and it is the National Museum of New Zealand. So it's a really good place to sort of learn about lots of different aspects of New Zealand, including like the flora and fauna, the Maori culture, the European cultures, and all that sort of thing. So that's always a good place to go. Alternatively, a really cool place we love to go in Wellington is a place called Zealandia, which is a bird sanctuary. It's a sort of like this huge park which is protected by a predator-proof fence. So the birds can come and go as they please, but once they're in this sanctuary, they're basically safe from introduced predators that have been introduced to New Zealand since human migration. But yeah, it's a really cool place to see some of the amazing native birds around New Zealand. With your itinerary so far, there's probably not too much opportunity to be able to see some of the wildlife in New Zealand. So probably Zealandia and Wellington would be the best way to experience some of that.
I tend to agree, actually. I think that should be what the activity you pick in Wellington, Catherine. Okay, so once you're done in Wellington, so either, again, you base yourself in Masterton, you just take the train and you get back to your accommodation in Masterton, or either you drive from Wellington. So if you were to drive from Wellington, sorry about that. If you were to drive from Wellington, this will be your longest drive. And that will take you about 3 hours and a quarter to go all the way to National
More like
Park.
3 hours and 50 minutes.
3 hours and 50?
Yeah.
Oh, I heard 15, so that's why I said 3 and a quarter. Sorry. 3 hours and 50, so about 4 hours drive.
Yeah.
But if you go from Masterton, that's only going to be about 3 hours. So here you go. Maybe you should base yourself in Masterton. Anyway, 4 hours drive, you go to National Park. So National Park is a wonderful place in New Zealand. It's very central. You get some amazing volcanoes. You get some volcanic landscape. I feel like this is where the Tongariro Crossing is, and I feel it's a place that almost everybody has on their bucket list when coming to New Zealand. I wouldn't recommend doing the Tongariro Crossing right as soon as you arrive there. It is a bit of a longer walk. It's about 9 hours at a nice pace. If you're like us, you're doing it in 3 hours, but that's insane.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to hike. So I will actually make sure that this is a place, Tongariro National Park, that I will spend an extra day there. I just realized I didn't do the
lines.
I'm going to do the line with a ... So like that, I encourage you to take the train, drive here. Here you go. So it's a wonderful place. Now, when you arrive, and let's say you have half the day when you just arrive in National Park, don't worry, you will be able to fill your day with some wonderful walk. There's a ton of very short walk, and actually on nzpocketguide.com we do have an article recapping a ton of short walk in national park, which are not the Tongariro crossing. So you can do yourself a favor and do a couple of 2 hours hike, and you go to a waterfall or to a volcanic views and all that. Just explore the area, and if you feel like treating yourself, you can go to the chateau. It's a really big building in which you can have high tea. So if you feel like you stay in the mood of the Art Deco and you want to treat yourself in the chateau, you get there, you have yourself some nice little canapes with some nice little tea with wonderful views. And if you feel like you don't want to walk and you still want to experience the volcanic landscape, there is actually a gondola in which you can pay a bit of money and you go all the way up and you get to check out some awesome views from there. And there is a cafe up there. I don't really recommend spending too much money on the food in cafe. It's not great. It's all kind of like reheated stuff.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't spend my money on the food there, but the view is fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just my personal tip on there. And then you're going to be making your way to New Plymouth.
Yeah, so this is also going to be quite a long drive, but not as long as between Wellington to National Park, but this is definitely worth the long drive because you are going to be taking a scenic route to get to New Plymouth. You're going to be taking the Forgotten World Highway. Now, if you want to know more about what the Forgotten World Highway is, then we do have a video on this channel about us actually taking the Forgotten World Highway in our big motorhome and experiencing it. Actually, we stay halfway.
Experiencing the stress of trying to go through that tunnel with a big camper van, and are we scraping the tunnel or not?
Yeah, so it's a really interesting road trip, and partway through your journey, you will reach the Republic of Whangamamona, which is an independent republic apart from New Zealand. Despite being in the middle of New Zealand, it is actually not a part of New Zealand. They have their own presidents. You can go and get your passport stamped at the hotel.
And the president is a goat.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. The president now is a lady.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yes,
that's
the
true.
Goat. I don't know what. An assassination attempt or something.
Yeah, I think that was during the curry festival.
Yeah. So that's a really interesting road trip. It's a mix between going through like really scenic farmland, but then going into a really sort of deep river gorge. There's sort of quick side trips to waterfalls and that sort of thing. So this is a really interesting journey that you'll want to take your time doing. And basically it's an activity in itself to get between National Park and New Plymouth.
Nice. Then you're going to make your way to Waitomo to go see some amazing glowworms.
Yeah, so Waitomo is, it's one of the probably more famous places in the North Island. It's famous for its glowworm caves. And there's various different ways that you can experience the glowworm caves in Waitomo. There's some easygoing sort of walking and then boat trips. So this takes maybe about half an hour, the tour. You get to see some beautiful limestone caves. And then the tour ends with getting in a boat and gently floating underneath a huge galaxy of glowworms. And there's a couple of companies that do that. There's the Waitomo Glowworm Caves, and then there's a company called Spellbound. So just so you know that there's different companies to compare there.
We actually talk about all of them on the website.
Yes, we do. We do have an article which is like 6 different ways to tackle the Waitomo cave, so you can sort of see all your different options and compare the different companies that do those options. And then just to quickly go over, there's caving. You can do caving in Waitomo, so you can do there's various different tours for this, but there's 2 main companies that do caving. There's the Blackwater Rafting Company and there's Waitomo Adventures.
You've got to be quite fit and ready to go for that.
Yes, yeah, you do.
Okay, and then you make your way back to Auckland. So at that point, this is when you go back to your wine, if you want to go back to the wine in Auckland, or it's when you want to just take a day to relax in Auckland and enjoy the city over there, buy all the souvenirs if you want, before heading back home and flying back home. So this is how we will spend 10 to 12 days on the North Island with your requirement, Catherine. So I feel like we cover all your points, but if you do have some follow-up, just make sure to give it to us. I think you're on the live chat right now. Let's have a look. She says, great tip, thanks. And she says, the train's a good idea. And yes, I do want to spend some time in Wellington. She's going to base herself in Masterton. That's a good idea. And she said she should look up the articles. Yes, check out NZ Pocket Guide. And she will treat herself to high tea. So it looks like Catherine's happy with the itinerary. You're very welcome. If you guys have some questions, own. If you do have an itinerary that you would like us to plan with you, you can do that with us simply by popping into our live sessions, opening your questions in any of the comments of our video. You just give us some information like Catherine did, and then during our live session, we just pop in and we just talk about it together.
Yeah.
If you have any follow-up, you just put it in a live chat. We chat together. It's really fun. Another way you can kind of interact with us is on Facebook. You can head to our Facebook page and kind of like it. We post a lot of like travel tips and everything on there. You can also hit a like. It's a great free way to say thank you for all our hard work. You can hit subscribe if you want more travel tips. There's so many ways you can chat with us. And best of all, there is nzpocketguide.com, in which we have tens of itineraries ready for you, so you can just have like literally full itineraries with even our recommendation for accommodation and everything. So we have done all the hard work for you. So it's nzpocketguide.com, and all of that is free. So here you go. Let's go back to live chat. All right, guys. Sorry, this one took a little bit long, but I think we covered a lot. So I'm gonna go over every comment as we do all the time, guys. So don't panic. Your comment will be read. Kiwi Lauren says, hello from Saturday at 2 p.m. in Canada. Oh, hello, past. Hi from the future. My question is, what experiences in New Zealand would you say have been the most life-changing for you personally? Big question, I know. Wow, life-changing.
Life-changing. Oh, well, I suppose like I'm going to steal your one that you're probably thinking of, but always doing sort of wildlife experiences always feel really life-changing. Of quite a few wildlife experiences we've done in New Zealand that feel quite life-changing because you sort of, it puts you back in your place, like you get perspective, you realize what amazing creatures that you're sharing this world with, and that's certainly the case I'm thinking of with swimming with seals in Kaikoura, seeing how interactive the seals are when you're in the water and they're sort of playing with you, and it's kind of like I guess it's kind of like if you're playing with a dog or something, you kind of see that they're like, the dogs are having fun and they're kind of like, you sort of, I don't know. I don't really know how to
interact with them.
You're interacting.
There is a sentient being in front of you rather than just being like just an animal. And
exactly.
You cannot understand that they have their own personality. I tend to agree with that.
And also it's the same with like swimming with dolphins and stuff or even just like doing a dolphin watching cruise or something, like you can sort of see the dolphins are interested in you. They're coming to look at you and they're sort of communicating together, and you're just like, I don't know, it's just always really amazing. And that's quite life-changing, I guess. Yeah.
I'm going to cheat a little bit, Lauren, and I'm going to say, so it's only after I came to New Zealand that I discovered that there was so many other countries so small and so close to New Zealand, and so that's countries from the South Pacific Islands, right? So I didn't really know much about that. You see them in documentaries sometimes in the BBC. They say, off the shore of Fiji, there is no shark. You're like, off the shore of Fiji, what is that? What is this thing? So I didn't really know much of that, and we actually do start doing travel guides for all those remote nations. And one of the last one we went to was Tonga, and I'm not ashamed of saying that I did an experience there that actually made me cry while I was doing it. It was that amazing. And that was whale swimming. So we were with a company that was like super like respectful to the whales and everything like that. And we kind of jump in the water and we start swimming, and there's some whales really close to us, and they came close to us. We started really far, but they came close to us and everything. And you could see the eye of the whale and everything like that. And I was overwhelmed by this connection. Like, and obviously you do a lot of projection when you see animals, so you feel like, I'm connected with it, so it's connecting.
It's talking to me.
Exactly. So it's not really, but you hear the singing of it. You see the calf, which is the baby whale, and you see the mother whale, and you can see the eyes and everything like that. And it was probably one of the best day. I think it was the best day of my life. So that was absolutely fantastic. So we were with a lady called Kaylee, and hi Kaylee, if you're watching, it's so awesome. Anyway, it was a phenomenal day, and I was literally like, I got to you have to take a breath and be like, oh my god. So it really kind of reinforced all our beliefs. Like we always try to kind of save the planet and go plastic free and all those kind of things. And I think that this really kind of I don't know, it just reinforced kind of like, I'm not doing, I'm making all those choices and all those sacrifices on an everyday basis for a reason. So I'd say that. But anyway, that's the one I will pick right now. I know it's a bit of a cheat exactly in New Zealand, but if I was not in New Zealand, there is no way I would have understood and know that those places
and you probably would have never gone to those islands if you weren't in New Zealand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yes, that would be our answer for that, Kiwi Lauren. Shiri says, good morning. Good morning, Shiri. How's it going in Australia? Beverly Gibson says, regarding renting a car, better to get it at the airport or in town? Is it more expensive at the airport?
It is a bit more expensive at the airport, but it's usually only about, I'd say, $20 more expensive on the rent, on the like initial. Well, I think only was probably more expensive than if you were to pick it up in town. So it really depends on what you're doing. If you're going to base yourself in town anyway, then it might be worth saving the extra little bit of money. But if you're not even planning to go into town and it would cost you money to go into town, then
just as a comparison, it costs you about $25 to get to town from the airport.
Yeah, exactly. So it might weigh up to actually be worth getting it from the airport. And also, usually car rental companies from the airport make it really easy to rent a car in that they will pick you up usually for free at the airport when you arrive. So there's no extra cost for being picked up to be taken to their car rental depot, for instance. So yeah, there is a bit of a cost difference, but it is minimal.
Yeah. Kiwi Lauren says, that sounds amazing. I absolutely love the Peninsula Seal Colony in Kaikoura. Those sweet little seals were so playful. Yeah, they are. So they're dogs of the sea. Let's be honest. They are. They definitely are. You just want to rub their bellies. Clay Bryan says, morning all. How are you doing, Clay? How is it going in the South Island? Cold? It's cold on the North Island. Steve K says, good morning. Any changes on the COVID lockdown as related to vacationers from the USA? Not really at the moment. I mean, your president is trying to antagonize our prime minister quite a lot with his statement lately, so I don't think that's going to help anything, in all honesty. But, that's just people ego beating more than anything. Aside from that, now New Zealand has about 111 active cases right now in the country. Auckland is in lockdown level 3, and the rest of New Zealand is in lockdown level 2, and there is no travel, no incoming travel basically allowed from anywhere in the world at the moment. And if you are a Kiwi coming back home, you will have to stay in quarantine even 14 days and everything like that. So at the moment, no update, and it doesn't look like anything is going to clear up. But if you do want some more information, Steve, you can check out, we actually did a video with our prediction on when we think the border will reopen per countries. And I think they're still correctly accurate. As soon as we have more information, we'll release a new one. But at the moment, we kind of stand by what we said so far. Sherry says, where do you guys recommend buying good quality merino wool base layers in the north? Okay, if it's for souvenirs, there is a ton of souvenir shop which will have them really nice looking and everything like that. But if you do want useful,
a bit easier, yeah. So
to be fair, I do like this t-shirt.
That one's been good.
Great. Them. So it's a bit more of a bet, but those icebreaker stuff, they last me for a long time. I got those things during I can't remember when, but anyway, for a long time.
Yes,
for a long time. Guys, I know we're falling a little bit behind question-wise, but don't worry, we will be answering every single question. I apologize, we started with too long of a question, but Catherine really needed some help with her itinerary, so we were here for her. What do we have? Clay says, thoughts on the Lord of the Rings tour in Central Otago? More of a fan, or is it a great tour regardless? So Laura is going to be very biased because she's a big Lord of the Rings fan. So there is a few Lord of the Rings tours. You can go from some nomad safari that they do more like around Queenstown. There is some Lord of the Rings tour in Twizel, which is Central Otago.
Canterbury.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, it's around that area right
Central
here.
Otago. I think the only sort of Lord of the Rings tours I can think of are the ones around Queenstown.
Yeah. Anyway, what do you think about them, Laura? Are they good even if you're not a massive Lord of the Rings fan, or is it really just for Lord of the Rings fan?
I would say, because I have done the Nomad Safaris Lord of the Rings tour in Queenstown, and I've also done the Nomad Safari non-Lord of the Rings tour in Queenstown. And if you opt for the Lord of the Rings tour, I think you do need to be a fan, because it kind of skips out some of the other probably more interesting stuff that the other tours do that don't really cover the Lord of the Rings that much. And for instance, on the Nomad Safaris Lord of the Rings tour, you go to a few of the locations, you hear some stories, you get shown some pictures and stuff, and it's really good for actually seeing the locations. But in terms of experiencing the 4-wheel drive side of the tour, where you get to go through rivers and get to basically go off-roading around the Queenstown area, it doesn't really do much of that. So Yeah, I would say you do have to probably be a Lord of the Rings fan to actually get some enjoyment out of that tour, specifically the Nomad Safari tour. But yeah.
So everybody says that it's lagging. Is it still lagging for you guys? I wouldn't know how to fix it, to be quite honest. YouTube doesn't really give you much power into fixing stuff. All is green right here, so it says that it's good. Yeah, guys, if you can tell us a little bit more on the
let us know if you can still see us, hear
YouTube.
us.
It's not lagging anymore. Okay, cool.
Okay.
So, okay, cool. Sorry about that, guys. YouTube really doesn't tell you. It just says it's green or orange or red, and it was green for the whole time. And basically, you can't fix it. You can't go with the spanner and fix it behind. It just it just tells you if it works or not. So it's all on you guys to tell us. But again, I know we're falling a little bit behind, but we'll answer every question. And if we answered your question but it was lagging, then just tell us and we'll repost your question and we'll answer it again. So now I have Kiwi Lauren and Anthony Comstock, both together that team up with the same question or very similar questions. So look at that. Great minds think alike. You two guys are great minds. So Kiwi Lauren said, is it worth to rent a GPS or sat nav in a rental car, or should I just use Google Map on your phone if you have unlimited data with a paper map for backup in areas with no phone coverage? And then is it better to use a GPS system for map or Google Maps, or what do you suggest? My suggestion is to go on your, either iPhone or Google app phone, right? And you go on the app and you buy one of those GPS. The name of the brands escapes me. Garmin, for example. Garmin, they have a great app, and you can buy the map of New Zealand, and it's like $7. It's nothing compared to renting the GPS. And honestly, they are very, very much better. And this map will use the GPS connection to navigate you because you already have the map downloaded, rather than using Google and everything, which usually has to always be connected to the internet. So that's way, way better. So I cannot stress enough how that will be the best option rather than actually renting the GPS. So I will go on my phone and I just purchase the map, and that's $7, and you're all done and done and dusted with it.
And we have had a few problems with Google with Google Maps. When we've been traveling around New Zealand, it's sent us on very interesting routes that are definitely sometimes taking you on the shortest route isn't necessarily the safest route. There are some really dodgy back roads, like
that's from experience, guys.
Yeah, really like narrow gravel roads, which will take you up the side of a mountain or something crazy in order to get somewhere faster. Which obviously you're not going faster because you're driving slower to get over this thing. But Google Maps, it's a little bit iffy in some places in New Zealand, so that's also another reason why we would use something else other than Google Maps.
Nice. Before we keep going with the question, I'm going to say thank you to Sherry, Lucas, Extreme Talota, Anthony, and Rock Jai Cable, and Rack, and all of you guys. Thank you very much for telling us if when it lags and if it doesn't lag and everything. You guys are absolutely awesome. All right, let's keep going with the question. Jesse Savage says, hello, Robin and Laura. I have an urgent question. Well, here you go. I was wanting to get a USA working holiday visa. I turned 31 in 4 days, so I must apply within 3 days. As you probably know, it looks like they've suspended accepting visa application for those outside of New Zealand for 3 months. I can't apply for any extension. Is there really no way I can apply for a visa and I'll permanently miss my chance? So you'll have to reach out to Immigration New Zealand and see with them. Our gut feeling right now is that sadly you missed your chance. They really have other priorities right now, and they really put the working holiday visa and all those concerns really far off on the back burner. We reach out regularly for questions. We get updates and all that. Really, the working holiday visa is almost never mentioned. So it just look like they're dealing with other priorities, and so they should. They're really busy in trying to get some, nurses and doctors and all those kind of things, and reunite families and all those kind of things with all those this thing happening. And also they did close for quite an extensive period of time when we were on lockdown, which means that they fell way behind on their backlog of work. So we estimate that they're going to have way more extra delays in replying and do all those kind of things. So That's our gut feeling. Obviously, we do not have the right to give you immigration advice because in New Zealand, you have to be a registered immigration advisor to do so, and we are not. So I can't give you an immigration advice. I can just give you my gut feeling. The only thing that I can tell you is that if you want to know for sure, you need to contact them. And for that, you will need to actually call them. And the call is going to be expensive, and you're going to be on hold for a very, very, very long time. Even us, when we call them and we have, we know who we're calling, and sometimes we're on hold for well over an hour, and there's no the way around that. It's sorry for being the bearer of bad news, but that's so all I will say is, if you're really very that desperate and you really want to come to New Zealand, pick up the phone and be on the hold for a very long time to try to talk to someone and see what they say. But they may very well just say, listen, this is not something that we are focusing on right now. I hate giving bad news, but that's the good feeling. Hopefully, if you call them and you prove us wrong, you come back to here and you say, hey guys, I'm about to plan my trip. Let's do it together. And I'll be so happy for you. I want that to be the case. It's just right now, there's so many other priorities for them that it just doesn't look like they're interested whatsoever in working on the working holiday visa.
Yeah.
From USA at the moment, which doesn't really have anything under control, and so there is no very clear path to opening the border with USA at the moment, unlike some other countries, for example, in the South Pacific, which are COVID-19 free and which are working right now to reopening the borders with New Zealand. Sorry about that. I hate not giving good. Extreme Talota says Morena and says, I've sent you a video of the talking polls yesterday. Oh, I didn't. Sorry, I don't check Facebook often enough. So I will check Facebook and I'll reply to you today. Sorry about that. Catherine says trends are good idea. Oh, no, we already read this one. Fantastic. Good. Oh, Catherine looks so happy about Itinerary. Love it. Heshan says, good morning, Robin and Laura. My Queensland trip was cancelled due to lockdown. Disappointed. Oh, yeah. Well, that just means that you get more time to plan more stuff. And so then you're going to arrive in Queensland and you'll be even more prepared. So here you go. I like to always see the silver lining and stuff. JK says, great information. Thank you, JK, and welcome aboard. Sherry says, it was meant to be the coldest day yesterday, so it's pretty cold here. She's in Australia, if you guys don't know. She's a regular viewer. They say, so it's pretty good here. I'm sure it's nothing compared to down. It has been really cold in the last couple of days in New Zealand, but we are in the tail end of winter right now, so we are about to start spring. We're going to have everything blossoming. They're going to sing even louder. It is going to be awesome. This kiwi bird right here is going to sing really loud and find itself a mate, and repopulate the kiwi bird population. Come on, buddy, come on. Rock Jackable, he says, I'm aware that New Zealand can grant visa since the border restriction situation has yet to be decided, but I am willing writing to reviewing the visa application or not at all for later decision. So as far as we're aware, right, they work with less people because of all the restriction and the COVID-19 and everything like that. So they're really just on either working on the backlog, because they already had, before COVID-19 hit, right, New Zealand immigration was already dealing with a really big backlog because they are understaffed and over, there is way too many applications for them. So they already had a tremendous backlog. And right now they're working with less staff and they're trying to work on the backlog. So they haven't cleared anything since the beginning of the lockdown. So,
So what I've seen on the immigration website as well is that they are only actually processing at the moment visas for residents that are actually based in New Zealand, for instance. So any other types of visas that, except for things like essential workers and that sort of thing, they're not even considering processing right now because they're working on only a certain types of visas at the moment. But there is a message on the immigration website saying that once they do decide to do other types of visas, they're just going to work through all the visas that they've already, all the visa applications they've already received. So you could send in your application now, but you have no idea when they're actually going to start working on it. They will work on it eventually, but it could be months away. It could be even a year away.
Would you do it? I mean, I personally wouldn't do it because you have to pay the fee straight away.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You pay thousands.
They will still put it into. They will still take your fee. They'll put it into the into the queue. And it could be there, for months. It could be there even up to a year because everything's so uncertain right now. So, I wouldn't even apply for anything for Immigration New Zealand if it's like a working holiday visa or a work visa or something.
Or student visa.
Or a student visa until you know for sure that those types of visas are being processed.
Yeah. And again, that's just what we would be doing, right? The only thing you can do is to contact Immigration New Zealand and see with them and also make the decision yourself, right? We just give you how we will work on that.
Yeah.
Beverly said, thanks for the info on Karen. You're very welcome, Beverly. Keep the questions coming. I like the intro. Usually you have interesting questions, so I like it. Hi, says Megan. I enjoy your video. Really informative. You're very welcome, Megan. She said, I would like to know if purchasing furniture is costly in New Zealand, especially in Christchurch. Thank you. It is not cheap because we have to import everything, right? So you have to factor in the import as well. So it is notoriously much more expensive than other places in the world. Obviously we haven't bought the most fancy furnitures all the time, but
there's no IKEA.
There's actually they're building an IKEA, so we may get an IKEA in New Zealand at some point. But they are much more expensive than what you would experience. I mean, I finished a few small apartments in Canada and in there, and usually it is more expensive. It is more expensive in New Zealand than anywhere else. So I wouldn't be able to give you really much of a price range because furniture, you go like for a couch, you're gonna get a couch for like a $1,500 couch for $3,500. It's all over the place, right?
There's places like the Warehouse which does like cheap furniture. Warehouse is like a sort of budget department store in New Zealand, which is in most large towns. But if you want to get like a sofa from there, I think like cheap ones would be maybe about between $300 and $500, but that's obviously the quality is quite cheap as well. So it really depends what sort of things you're looking for. But then on top of that, there are loads of secondhand stores in New Zealand, lots of op shops as they call them over here. So there's an alternative option in that you can always go secondhand.
Yes. All right. So Anthony Comstock says, should we buy it here or in New Zealand? I'm not sure what you're referring to, Anthony. So if you can give me a little context, we'll be able to help with that.
Is that in relation to the GPS question that he had?
Maybe. So honestly, for the GPS, it's the same price wherever. So you go on the Garmin app and you can buy it literally like it's on the app. So I will get it wherever. Do it from back home. Do it from back home. So you can start working on your itinerary and you can put your waypoints and everything on there. So do it now. I mean, if you feel like it, it's not a crazy purchase. I mean, you're talking about $7. So yeah.
Yeah.
Kiwi Girl is replying to Catherine. Did we miss a question? Yes. Catherine says, how is the restaurant life outside Auckland? Is there variety like Indian, Thai, Italian? What is the typical cuisine in New Zealand? We actually have a lot of videos about restaurants and food and everything, but in short, they do have options everywhere. The typical New Zealand food is usually more pub style. That's basically what it is. You're going to get lamb shank, you're going to get
fish and chips,
kiwi burgers, where they put an egg and a beetroot in the burger on top of the beef patties and everything. Why would they put beetroots? I don't know, but it doesn't taste too bad. It's kind of nice. So that's the typical kind of food. But literally, go on the channel, Catherine, on our channel, and you type food. And then you're going to have so many videos. I chat with actually a mate of mine and we talk about our favorite kind of places to eat, our favorite food and everything like that. So there is a lot of fun stuff here. Or you just type food NZ Pocket Guide on YouTube and you'll find some videos of ours. Or you go on nzpocketguide.com and you go through 10 dishes of New Zealand and all those kind of things. So there is a lot there. But and Kiwi Girls, which I think is Kiwi. I mean, that's the name. Mm-hmm. She says that the food is pretty good. So here you go. The question about the base marine, Laura, do you want to quickly recap for Sherry? She said it lagged.
So where to buy merino wool layers. So there's lots of outdoor sports shops around New Zealand. For instance, Torpedo 7, Kathmandu, Macpac, Bivouac Outdoors. They sort of do a little bit more high quality merino wool layers for for being quite active and stuff, and they're usually sort of better quality, but you can usually find like sort of cheaper merino wool layers in souvenir stores, even at I think probably at the warehouse, which is like a budget department store type thing. But the problem with getting too cheap of a merino wool layer is that they start to fray at the seams quite quickly and around your cuffs and stuff. So it's always worth getting something a little bit better than just like super cheap quality.
Kiwi Girl says, yes, lol, I'm a Kiwi and I travel around a lot. Nice one. Kiwi Girl, awesome. Maybe one day we'll see you, along a hike or in one of the activity. So Kiwi Girl also say, regarding visa, check out the visa waiver program. So this is basically a program that allows you to come to New Zealand without having to apply for a visitor visa, but that's only for visitor visa. So Kiwi Girl, I think we were talking about something else with Jesse right now. Leo says, what new video or adventure do you have to share with us soon? Spoiler accepted. We can't spoil anything. So in all honesty, Leo, at the moment, there is so much uncertainty and everything. It's a bit harder for us to be able to plan anything. If you want to really know, we were supposed to discover one of the South Pacific islands before COVID hit. And we were supposed to show you this one as well. Because if you don't know, we do also have TongaPocketGuide.com, FijiPocketGuide.com, and NuePocketGuide.com. So we have the largest travel guide in all those 3 islands as well. So we do those one as well to help you guys plan some trips there. And so we were supposed to do one of those as well. We recently did some videos hiking on the Tongariro National Park to give you some videos of like what a hike looks like. I think that was a request from Anthony Comstock, which is right here in the live chat. So we did this one. And we are thinking about doing some more activities around New Zealand, do some more videos for you guys and everything. But I don't want to make any promise, mate. Right now, we have not. The honest truth right now is that we have nothing planned, but we're trying to plan something unless things changes every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So we usually actually tell you even guys what we do. I don't think we even have any surprises all the time. We just kind of like, oh yeah, we'll do this, we'll do that.
Yeah.
So we'll announce when we can do something. But at the moment we'll stick to like those chats and kind of informing people. And as soon as we get to hit the road anyway, we do want to. We've been, stuck here for quite a while, so we do want to get some fresh air. Lucas says, hi Robin and Laura, how are you two? Good, thank you very much for asking. We're doing very well. We are on the tail end of winter, so we are happy and looking forward to some warmer weather.
Yeah.
To expand on your answer on the GPS question, is Google Map reliable in cities like Auckland and Christchurch? Why or why not? It is reliable in the big cities, so yes it is, except that it doesn't really take well in consideration all the working. The
roadworks, yeah.
Auckland is always riddled with roadworks. So you've got to be aware of that. Your GPS may just say go there and it's closed for roadwork, or you only have a 1 lane and it's only
you'll usually notice because it'll have like on Google Maps, it'll have like the red area of the road where the traffic's moving really slowly because Google Maps is picking up that the traffic's moving really slowly.
But Google Maps doesn't tell you that the road is clearly blocked or that it goes the other way and you can't get there. It just tells you it's red.
Yeah.
So that's so frustrating sometimes. So, but in the city, Google Map works. Outside of the city, that's when you have a little bit more issue, and that's why we recommend to spend this like $6-7 to get the Garmin stuff. And again, I don't work for Garmin. Right? I get nothing out of that. It's not sponsored. # not sponsored. It's just like how we do it. We do find it easier. David Schrischki. I'm calling you David, okay?
Yeah, let's stick to that.
When do you think New Zealand will open the border for Europeans? David, check out our video when we actually do our prediction. We have a video on the channel that we posted out a couple of weeks ago, and we go through every countries and when we think they're going to reopen, and so you'll have your answer right here. I think we'll stick with this one for now. I don't think we're going to do any updates in the next couple of weeks, but as soon as we hear anything new, we will update that video. So as soon as there has been more information, we'll definitely post a video on the channel. Kiwi Lauren, if you ever want to experience cold, I cordially invite you to Canada in January or February or December or March. You can get minus 40 degrees Celsius or colder and tons of snow on the prairies. So I spent some time in Vancouver, which is not really cold Canada. It was already really, really cold. But in all fairness, Kiwi Lauren, I am more of a I'm a cold-blooded animal, so therefore I need very much of heat. So if I have to choose between snow and sun, I take snow. I am a reptile. I'm a lizard man. All the conspiracy theorists, I'm a lizard.
Surrounding you.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I obviously Kiwi Lauren, it definitely is. Canada is definitely colder than the northern end of New Zealand. I'm fully aware of that. I just complain because I'm just a pesky human, and I apologize for that. I will stop complaining about the cold, and I will enjoy spring. Next week, tune in, and I will tell you guys how happy I am with the warm temperature of spring.
Is it spring next week?
It's not, but I don't want Kiwi Lauren to tell me off anymore.
Yeah.
All right. Anthony Comstock, should GPS where we are or in New Zealand, as long as there is a New Zealand map. So remember, if you buy an actual GPS, right, you need to look at which map is included. So for example, when you buy a GPS in North America, you will get the North American map included in it, and you have to pay extra to get the New Zealand map. So if you buy a GPS, make sure that you buy a GPS that includes the New Zealand map, or that you can buy the New Zealand map. Or if it's just on your phone, download the Garmin app, just buy the New Zealand map rather than buying the US map and be sorted with it. So that's my take on it.
It's usually just,
and I will do it wherever you are right now, in order for you to actually have some time to actually learn how to use the GPS, maybe input your waypoints. So as you work your itinerary, and you go on a website like nzpocketguide.com, and you find like, oh yeah, Robin and Laura said that it was awesome to go swim with the seal in Kaikoura. You're gonna just put that as a waypoint in there, and so when you drive around everything, you have your waypoints coming up, and like, oh yeah, remember I need to do this.
Yeah.
And so every time you read something, every time you hear us say something, you can add your waypoint. So when you drive by, you may not reach all your waypoints, but when you drive by, you'll be like, oh yeah, 10 minutes on the side of the road right here, there's gonna be something awesome that those two idiots mentioned, so I may as well go there. So I will do it now.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely instead of buying a new sort of device, GPS device, definitely it would be more worth getting the Garmin app onto your phone. And if you want to buy something to make it easier to see your phone while you're driving, get one of those little suction cups to go onto the windscreen. And you clip your phone into it. That's kind of like the best way, and it's really small that you can just pack in your bag to New Zealand. So that would be that's sort of more what we would recommend. And also make sure that you do bring a charger so that you can also have your phone charging while you're driving.
Yeah, because GPS does suck a lot of battery.
Yeah.
Kiwi girl says, answer to David and say, I recommend you watch as at Arden latest press release. She speaks on the New Zealand border. So yeah, that's literally how we get our information, right? We do the same thing. We check the press release, and then we
look at the official announcements, and
exactly, and that's how we make our predictions. So yeah, definitely, if you want to go down that road and watch the politician speaks, you can definitely do that. I just find it really boring. Extreme Talota is going away. See you next week. Thank you very much, mate. I will reply to you on Facebook. Rock Jackable say, thanks for answering my question. So don't you think that they are going to accelerate visa processing speed for international students after the border is decided to be opened? They will prioritize them as they can, but you can't just make up a workforce and be able to go faster. They don't really do that. So they'll try to go a bit faster, but I don't think they're going to speed up that fast. Immigration New Zealand going faster is not like
even before the whole lockdown thing happened, Immigration New Zealand are not super fast at processing visas, except for things like the working holiday visa, because I guess the process, it's online, and usually it's within a week that gets accepted or not. But for other types of visas that are a little bit more complicated, they tend to take like a few months. And we've definitely been in the situation before where we actually have to call Immigration New Zealand to remind them that we put in an application like a few months ago, and it says on the website that their processing time is 60 days, say, but it's been 90 days. So you ask like what is happening with the application, and then that kind of says like that. Like in my experience, they've been like, we'll put an emergency note on that to make sure we get it done for you. Basically, they've forgotten about an application, for instance. So they're not the most reliable organization. So you do need to sort of bear that in mind as well. You kind of need to be on their back a little bit if you want to get things done faster.
Kiwi Girl is being thanked and said, you're welcome. Thank you very much, Kiwi Girl. By the way, you answer a lot of questions and everything. It's nice to have another Kiwi on board, answering questions and everything. You rock. Jesse Savage says, yikes, it's bad news for me. So we're relating to the, your working holiday visa question. And yes, to warn people, last time I called New Zealand immigration on my cell phone from the USA, 15-minute call cost me about $16 US. Yeah, that sounds about right. One tip, just get yourself, go on Skype, get and buy yourself like some minutes of calling for New Zealand. You can buy those things that are going to cost you about $10, I think, for an hour. And so if you buy 2 of those for $20, you got 2 hours. You can be 2 hours on wait. So you can do that. And, going through this kind of channel is usually a little bit easier. Catherine Hegarty, she looks like she's nice. She's hungry. She said, sounds delicious when we talked about food. Kiwi Girl says Northern Face are popular merino. So I think it's called North Face, and they do popular merino wool as well. I will mostly recommend Icebreaker because they are New Zealand, and I personally like them better. But yeah, North Face is quite popular as well. There is limited amount of shop that actually carry North Face because they're not kind of a New Zealand brand. But I feel like you find Icebreaker in a lot of shops in New Zealand. So
I think North Face you can get in like Macpac and that sort of places, maybe. No, Macpac.
So. Macpac, they only have Macpacs.
It's Kathmandu's the same, isn't it?
Yeah, I think North Face you can get it. You can get it in Torpedo 7.
Yeah.
You can get it in Bivouac. You can get it in the one North Face store that they had in Auckland. I don't know if they have it still because they had to close some shops. North Face. I mean, North Face is not bad. We got some bags. You see on the videos, we actually have some bags from North Face. Orange bag that I carry around all the time. It's a big North Face bag, for example. It's a good brand. I don't know. For my merino wool, I stick. I'm not paid by Icebreaker or anything, but I do really do like Icebreaker. Oh, Mons Royal is really good as well.
Royal, this is the hoodie I've got on right now is from Mons Royal, which is a company that is
in Wanaka.
It's based in Wanaka, but you'll find their clothing in Torpedo 7 stores.
And Wanaka is in the south end of New Zealand. Okay, I'm so excited to. It says I'm so excited to visit your beautiful country next year. Love from Germany. And he also asked, how's the temperature around winter time? David, that's a trap right here. Kiwi Lauren from Canada is asking me not to complain about the cold in New Zealand. And now you're asking me the temperature. So here's what I'm going to do for you, David. We do have a whole playlist about the weather in New Zealand, and we literally do month by month, and we do the average temperatures everywhere. So the month of winters in New Zealand are...
It is, let me just think. It is June, July, and August.
All right. So if you check our videos on the climate and weather in New Zealand in June, July, and August, you will be able to have all the average temperature with different places in New Zealand. We literally kind of do the whole kind of weather forecast everywhere, but we do you the whole month, and we do most places in New Zealand. So I think that's going to be really helpful for you.
I was just to say, it's really important to actually not look for a generic temperature for New Zealand, because the temperatures are quite different compared to the top of the North Island to the bottom of the South Island, and everything in between can be very different. So it's always best to actually look for the average temperature for the specific place you are visiting.
Exactly. And that's why we literally did those videos like with 15 minutes every time with the map, and we give you all the info. I mean, David, if you're kind of new on the channel here, we are way too thorough on everything we do. In all honesty, right? So that's why we decided to do those videos like that, to give you so much information. Another way, if you don't feel like hearing our annoying voices for too long, you can check out nzpocketguide.com. There's a link in the description below. It's our website. It's the largest travel guide to New Zealand, and it's all free to. And there is New Zealand month by month, so we go through every single weather and everything, so that will help you out with that. And look at that, bullet dodged. Kiwi Lauren, I did not complain about the cold. Speaking of Kiwi Lauren, she says Canadians enjoy bragging about how cold it gets. Lols. Just giving you a hard time. I have often been surprised by the cold in New Zealand winter because it's so much wetter than in winter in the middle of Canada. I think that's right. When it's a bit more humid, when the air is a little bit more humid, it feels colder than it actually is.
Damp and cold is usually not a nice combination. It makes you feel a little bit chillier, so you definitely feel like you want to wear some more layers.
Since New Zealand has so much rain, like, be aware of that. I feel like, honestly, when traveling in New Zealand, we talk about it every time we talk about gears and what you need to pack to come to New Zealand. We talk about it all the time. I think that it's way more important to have some really, really good rain jackets rather than having all the clothes you need. If I stay dry, I'll be fine. But if I start getting wet, that's when it's terrible. So good, honestly, the best outfit, you have a good rain jacket, you have some waterproof shoes, like hiking shoes and everything. And then, you have the merino wool underlayer and merino wool socks, and you are absolutely sorted. won't get too cold in New Zealand if you start like that. But if you start getting wet regularly, especially when traveling around, when you're either in a camper van or in a car and you never have really time to dry everything and stuff like that, this is going to become just not pleasant traveling around New Zealand in winter. But if you stay dry, you'll be absolutely fine. So you've seen us doing videos. For example, check out our videos of us in Milford Sound, for example, doing the Milford Sound cruise. We've never been that wet, right? But then after that, we dry everything. We were fine. It was absolutely fine. And on top of it, all of our under layers were all merino wool. So merino wool doesn't get too, any type of wool, to be fair, that doesn't get too cold when it gets wet, right? And like cotton, they get freezing cold. So we were absolutely soaked. But we were wearing merino wool and everything. We were fine. And yeah, so good rain jackets in shorts, please. Sherry says, does the Garmin app include traffic and roadworks? I'm not 100% sure. So we don't really usually have the GPS on when we're in cities where there usually is the traffic. Outside of cities in New Zealand, there's never traffic. Let's just make that clear.
Yeah.
Outside of cities in New Zealand, there's never traffic, or very, very, very rarely. For the roadworks, usually the traffic is still flowing, so it doesn't really stop you. I can't remember we had to really stop and had a major delay for roadwork. Can you remember? No, I can't.
Really, no.
And in cities, we usually don't use the GPS too much because we usually know where we're going. So I'm not 100% sure. But look at the feature of the app. Look at it and see if it includes
I'll probably
it.
have that on the bullet list points.
But it changes so often. I wouldn't be. I don't know if any. I don't know if the Auckland Council has a correct map of all their roadwork. Let's be honest. So I'm not 100% sure if anyone could have this information. Lucas says, "Oh, I see. It looks like a GPS is an essential. By the way, if you're on warm weather, it barely goes under 30 degrees here in Singapore. Or in pure curiosity, how is daily life over there? Daily life is pretty nice. For us, we work from home, so we run nzpocketguide.com, so we work from home. When we have a nice weather day, we usually go on a hike and go explore New Zealand, so it's pretty good. Due to COVID-19, like there is screens in between you and the cashier when you go to supermarket or to stores like that. There is about half the people that are wearing masks and half the people which are not. If you go to Auckland, almost everybody is wearing. I'll say about 80% of the population is wearing masks. I'm making up figures right now, but it's just kind of the feels that you have right now. Everybody is kind of relaxed. People are quite compliant with what the government is asking us to do for COVID-19. So, when we are told to stay home, most people actually do stay home. And that's pretty good. The supermarkets are well stocked. There is not there was panic buying on the first time we went on lockdown, but not too much. And but it's a very, very open-ended question, Lucas. So if you do have anything more specific, ask, but that's what I have for you. Anything you want to add? No?
Oh, really? No.
All right. Kiwi girl said that in the Mackenzie country, you have snowdrift and dry snow. Here you go. And then she says, "Thank you. You're very welcome, Kiwi girl." I like people that participate a lot, so it's always cool. Rock Jackable says, "I really believe that New Zealand has come to a decision for letting international students so that they won't stay behind of other countries such as Canada, Australia, and UK." Yeah, the thing is, honestly, the number one focus by the government right now is to eradicate COVID-19 in New Zealand, and that is sole laser focus. So falling behind in the education sector, behind some countries and everything like that has not shown to be a focus whatsoever for the government. They just want to make sure that we're COVID-19 free. It was the same thing for tourism as well. New Zealand's economy run on tourism. That's the largest contributor to the economic, to the economy in New Zealand is tourism, right? And second is farming. And, right now it's at the grinding halt. It's literally almost non-existent, right? This whole economy, but it doesn't really matter to the government. What matters to them right now is to eradicate COVID-19. Also, because New Zealand is the gateway to a lot of the South Pacific islands. So all the islands such as Tonga and Niue and Cook Islands and all that, all those islands, they're COVID-19 free right now, but most of the flights that go there go through New Zealand. So if New Zealand eradicates that, we have a nice buffer to protect all this part of the world, because we see that with countries like French Polynesia, which is in the South Pacific as well, which reopen their border for tourists and start having COVID-19 cases, and their infrastructures over there are not as good, so that is going to hurt quite a lot of people. So they take that very seriously, and There is some pros and some cons to it. I don't personally have a personal opinion on it. They chose to do that, they do that, and we got to live with it. Me having an opinion on it wouldn't change anything. So here you go. So yeah, I don't know if they have to take a decision. I just think that right now they're not interested in taking a decision. They're just focusing on COVID-19. Also, remember that we are in a year of elections. So literally, so we used to be in September. Now it's in October. We're going to be voting for a new prime minister. So there is also a lot of campaign concerns, and then that's going to be focusing on that as well. So they have an agenda on what they're doing, and the agenda is going to focus a lot on national interest more than anything else because they want to be re-elected. So yeah. Just keep that in mind. It's politics, like everywhere in the world. Let's be honest. It's it's no different than where you live. I'm pretty sure there is some politics going on in Singapore as well. And Rock Jacob will also say, and I know there is no decision yet, but can you tell me your prediction on when the border are going to open for students? Just your anticipation will do. Thanks again. We have a whole video about that, so you may want to check this one out. We actually literally have an update for students coming to New Zealand, an update relating to coronavirus. So check that video. You're going to have a thorough opinion on that. Well researched by Lauren. David says, all right, thank you. I'll check it out. Awesome. Kiwi Lauren says, you guys are absolutely awesome, by the way. Thank you for all this hard work and for being so thorough. You're very welcome. One way you can help is to give us feedback on the website and all these kind of things. At the moment, we're doing a lot of updates and everything. So anytime you get some feedback and everything, you can talk to us on Facebook. You can vote at the bottom of every article you check on the website. You can say if it was useful or if it needs improvement, that you think we could improve with it. You can also give us all the feedback on the YouTube comments, all that. So yeah, you can help us out as well. And you're very welcome. It's awesome to have you on board. You always have some interesting questions. I like the question you started with this week. So I like your insightful question every week. Hamish says, what's the date immigration is open? Rewind the video. We talk about it about 40 times today. So check that out, but not yet. And we also have a video about the New Zealand border opening. So here you go. Lucas says, I was talking about daily life amidst the current crisis. So I'll give you a little bit of both, let's say. Like everyone outside Auckland living mask-free life. Yes, so we are outside of Auckland, so we're on level 2. We are living mask-free life. We wearing mask when we go to level 3, obviously, because that's what we are recommended to do, and we do that. But like everybody we see around, we're not living in Auckland, just so you know. We live a mask-free life. We spent the day out yesterday out in town, and as I mentioned, there is about I'd say about a quarter about half the people that were wearing masks, quarter, half, depending on which store you're going into. Half the people that are wearing masks, there is just a kind of plexiglass screen between you and the cashier, for example. There is an app which is nationwide where you scan QR codes when you enter shops, so you know at what time you've been in where, so the government can track you down to hunt you, to tell you if there was an outbreak there and to kind of see if you've been here or not. So yeah, it's honestly, everyday life is pretty much the same. The only thing that really changed for us is that obviously we work in the tourism industry. We run a travel guide, right? So obviously everything is kind of at a halt right now. So you kind of like, okay, I'm going to do a lot of updates, or what else can I do? So yeah, that's basically the only thing that really changes. But every neighbors is still kind of like chatting over the fence all the time. It's still like an everyday life. Catherine says, I'm originally from Cork, Ireland. That's where you're from, Laura, isn't it? It's
absolutely not.
She's from England. It's the same country, isn't it? It's the same thing up top, right? She hates when I say that. Anyway, rain is a sure things mixed with a damn cold, but not pleasant. One of the reasons I moved to the USA, temperature get up to 40 to 50 degrees Celsius, depending on where in the US. Wow, that's amazing. I spent some time not in the Grand Canyon. I went in the Grand Canyon to do a hike, but around that part of the country. And it does get really hot sometimes. That's true. Kiwi Girl says, Lucas, people are wearing masks all over the whole country. And say, okay, that's interesting that you noticed that, Kiwi Lauren. We haven't seen like everyone wearing masks all over the country. It's not our experience.
Yeah, I saw 2 people in Pack and Save yesterday with masks on.
Well, here you go. Like the whole grocery shopping, she saw 2 people. Yeah. I'd say, depending on the store we were in, like most of the staff, like they were like a couple of shops that we were, they were wearing.
The staff are complying with certain rules, but in terms of the the public, they're not.
Yeah.
They're quite relaxed.
I say it depends. It
guess.
depends where you go. No, because when we went to a hardware store, there was most people were wearing masks
Okay.
in the second hardware store we went in.
All right. Yeah.
You didn't notice?
Definitely noticed that.
Wow. Okay. Like I noticed there was only 2 guys that didn't. All the staff were, and even the people that were talking with the ladies. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so it really, weirdly enough, it depended where it was. And actually, I went to ask for another type of mask that was, just goggles and stuff. And they thought I was asking for the green one. They said they sold out. So people are buying them.
Yeah.
I just didn't see them wearing them a lot. Anyway, Kiwi Lauren say, awesome, thanks. I found my experience most time life-changing. So many things challenged me, excite me, and made me appreciate the beauty and the landscape and the people. Nice one. Well, you're about to come back, so you'll have a blast again. Kiwi girl says, I hope everyone take your advice on the raincoats, lol. You see? She says she was Kiwi, so here you go. Follow as well. Clay say, I've seen probably 5 masks in Dunedin. So here you go, 5 people were wearing masks in Dunedin. So again,
which is a pretty large city in the South Island.
Yeah, so that's not, in context, that's very little. Lucas says, okay, thanks for the insightful answer. You're very welcome. He says, Clay says, with the exception of staff. So staff usually wear masks, but not the public, and I feel like, at work, you'll be supplied masks and everything like that. So that has to be safer. And MB 1968 says, Morena Fano, that means good morning, family. Good morning, mate. How are you doing? You join us right as we're about to wrap it up. Because I just realized.
Just like last week.
Yeah, you
actually.
have to join us an hour earlier, mate.
Or maybe you just say hi.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay, guys. So it looked like we hanged out with you guys for a little bit longer than usual. But let's just wrap it up. Thank you very much for being for jumping on board. MB said he was listening. So everybody should stay safe. If you do have some questions that pop into your head during the week, you can put it in the comments of any of our videos. If you guys want to give us a cheeky like on Facebook and see what we do there, you can. It's NZ Pocket Guide, and you probably will find us. We kind of share a bit more travel tips and everything. We try to do something different on Facebook that we do here. If you do want to pick our brain during the week and you don't have access to us because we don't do live chat, you can check out nzpocketguide.com. We really, really put a lot of information on there, and we add so much new articles every day right now because we have nothing else to do. So check that out. And if you watch some videos of ours, like, subscribe, do all these things, and just stay awesome. There's all these ways you can interact with us, but the best thing to do is just to stay awesome. So you guys stay awesome. We'll see you next week at 8 a.m. Sunday New Zealand time. It's about an hour from now if you're watching live. Otherwise, this is the time around the world. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so in the UK and France, in Europe area, that is on a Saturday evening around 9 or 10 p.m., depending on where you are. In the US, that is on a Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. PST. 1 p.m. PST, 4 p.m. EST. In India, that is on a Sunday morning at 1:30 a.m. And in Australia, that's also on a Sunday morning at 6 a.m.
But I did something nice in the last couple of weeks. I actually figured out how to actually give you links that when you click on that link, you will get your time in the world of when that live session is. So I already programmed them. There's a link in the description. You click in there and it will tell you, boom, that's going to be your day and time. You can join Robin and Laura right on the couch and you're going to have a blast. All right. What is everybody saying? Clay says, have a good week, guys. Have a good week, Clay. Thank you very much. MB says, he was there. He was just listening. He wasn't talking. So
listening in.
Anthony says, be safe. Beverly says, you are the best. Oh, thank you, Beverly. You're awesome. See you next week. Sherry says, thanks, guys. Thank you very much. Stay safe in Australia. David say, thank you so much. David, I think, did you say you were from Singapore, David? Stay safe in Singapore. Have fun. The more you guys show up, but
Europeans.
No, he's Germany. Be safe in Germany. Have fun. It's Lucas, which is in Singapore, I think. Nice being here. See you soon. Thank you very much for popping in, Lucas. Take care, everyone. He says, MB, especially your friend in Auckland. Yes. Arshil says, when will international students be able to travel to New Zealand? We have another video on the channel, so check this one out. Kiwi Girl says, love your channel, guys. Lot of great advice and info. Thank you very much. See you next week, Kiwi Girl. We really appreciate you popping in. I think that was your first show during our live session. Hopefully that's not the last. Catherine says, Robin and Laura have to agree. You guys are meticulous, discussing topics in depth, covering everything down to the minute details. Thanks. You bye for now. You're very welcome, Catherine. Thank you very much for asking us a fun question. We enjoyed it. Kiwi Lauren says, see you next Saturday. Next Saturday for you in Canada. Yeah, 2 p.m. Canada, if I'm correct. I'm going to be teaching and singing a musical theater program on Saturday afternoon from September to December. So she's going to be missing in action for a while. No, that's awesome. Send us a link of like that musical. I kind of want to check it out if you ever publish it on YouTube or something. Rock Jacobal said, thank you so much again for your time and help. Very welcome. Beverly, give us a smile. And then she said, thank you so much for the information. We're done. Thank you very much, guys. Bye-bye.
Have a lovely week. And stay safe.
Oh, that was nice.